Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving into something truly phenomenal. We are exploring the ancient Tamil epic known as the Silappadikaram. And this isn't just any story. It masterfully blends this soft, meditative beauty of meticulous artistic rules with a totally devastating, chaotic human tragedy. We're going to step into the aesthetic life of our main character, Kovalan, and uncover exactly what this ancient masterpiece can teach us about art, justice, and the consequences of unchecked power. Okay, let's look at our roadmap for today. We'll start off by mapping out the epic itself. Then we'll explore the incredibly precise arts of Poompuhar. From there, we follow our protagonists on a desperate journey to Madurai, examine the symbolism of the fatal anklet, and finally, witness the explosive wrath and deification at the story's end. All right, Section 1, the Great Tamil Epic. To put things into perspective, we are looking at the 2nd century AD, and the geographical sweep of this story is absolutely vast. Moving along the timeline, we start in the Chola Kingdom. Specifically, we're in the coastal trading city of Puhar, a place renowned for its immense artistic wealth. Then, the narrative pulls us into the Pandyan Kingdom, down to Madurai, where a profound injustice takes place. And finally, we end up in the Chera Kingdom, where our heroine, Kannagi, is elevated to the literal status of a goddess. To really grasp the weight of this story, it helps to ground ourselves in the source texts. These scholarly translations introduce our main characters. You've got Kovalan, who is the wealthy but, well, somewhat flawed son of a merchant. And then there's Kannagi, his fiercely loyal wife. Now, these texts don't just tell a simple story. They preserve this massive, sweeping narrative of passion and betrayal that ultimately leads to the destruction of entire cities. It's intense stuff. Moving right along to Section 2, the Arts of Puhar. We are now in the Chola capital, and right here is the central tug of war in Kovalan's life. It's a world where the soft, golden hour serenity of the coastal shore collides with a society governed by incredibly strict aesthetic rules. On one side, Kovalan has Kannagi. She represents domestic loyalty, chastity, and these really grounded traditional Nagarathar merchant values. But on the other side, there's Madhavi. She is an extraordinary courtesan representing artistic perfection, allure, and the absolute mastery of the 64 classical arts and the 11 ritual dances. So just imagine finding yourself completely torn between quiet domesticity and the intoxicating, highly structured aesthetics of the performance hall. That is Kovalan's dilemma. And when I say structured, I mean literally mathematically precise. The dimensions for the Aranjatrikade stage where Madhavi performed were incredibly strict. The standard measure was something called the kol, which was a bamboo stick exactly, and get this, 24 thumb breadths long. The stage legally had to be strictly 8 kols wide, 7 kols long, and exactly 1 kol high. There were even specific rules for the entrances so that the pillars wouldn't cast any shadows on the dancers. It is sharp, physical geometry brought to life. And this brilliantly illustrates just how strictly the arts were codified in this society. These ancient texts are dictating dimensions down to the bamboo joint. Nothing in the Chola artistic world was left to chance. Every single movement, every beam of light, every single note plucked from the strings of the yaz was calculated for absolute aesthetic perfection. Of course, to achieve that flawless perfection, Madhavi didn't work alone. She had a highly specialized dream team. You had the dancing master, who was an expert in body movements and very specific hand gestures. The music teacher mastered the yaz lute and the flute. The dramaturg ensured the poetic structure was flawless, perfectly balancing royal and common styles. And the drummer provided the rhythmic heartbeat on the mridangam, keeping perfect synchronization with her footwork. Diving even deeper, the dancing master meticulously avoided mixing different styles. He wouldn't dare mix single hand gestures with double hand ones, or the karavai footwork with the vari. It's all about absolute purity of form. In this environment, Kovalan acts almost like a public critic, analyzing technical aesthetics, things like the abhinaya, the talam, and the varam. He gets completely absorbed in the jewel-toned grandeur of the royal hall, surrounded by these deep emeralds, rubies, and gold, basically forgetting everything outside of it. Section 3, Journey to Madurai. Now we crash headfirst into the deeply flawed, chaotic reality of human choices. Driven by his desires, Kovalan squanders all of his ancestral wealth on Madhavi. Eventually, he realizes his catastrophic error, and a deeply remorseful Kovalan returns to Kannagi. And in an act of profound grace, she actually forgives him. Together, they leave the coastal beauty of Pahar behind. It's a truly desperate journey. They travel to Madurai and the Pandyan kingdom to escape their past and try to rebuild from scratch with literally nothing but each other. This brings us to a massive underlying concept in the epic, Prarabdha karma. Essentially, fate. The theme here is that past actions inevitably shape our destiny. Kovalan and Kannagi might be running from Poompuhar, but they absolutely cannot outrun the cosmic balance of karma. It is quietly, inevitably taking its course. Section 4. The Fatal Anklet. We are now in the Pandyan kingdom, and things are about to reach their tragic climax. Now, what's really interesting here is the transformation of a single everyday object. The anklet, or Salambu in Tamil, actually gives the entire epic its name. Originally, it was this auspicious, sacred symbol of Kannagi and Kovalan's marriage. But, in dire need of capital to start a new business, Kannagi offers one of her anklets to Kovalan to sell. In a totally devastating twist of fate, her anklet closely resembles the recently stolen anklet of the Pandyan queen. And just like that, it becomes the catalyst for tragedy. The texts detail Kovalan's fateful encounter in the Madurai bazaar. He meets the state goldsmith to sell the anklet. But plot twist, the goldsmith is the actual thief who stole the queen's jewel. Seeing a golden opportunity to save his own skin, this corrupt goldsmith frames Kovalan. The deeply corrupt state system easily and ruthlessly exploits Kovalan's vulnerability as an impoverished outsider. So, the crucial point hinges on the actions of the Pandyan king, Nedunjillian. He orders Kovalan's execution without a proper trial, without checking the facts, basically just to appease his wife. Think about the stark contrast we are seeing. We started in Poompuhar, right? A city where art was governed by meticulous, perfect mathematical rules. And now, in Madurai, an innocent man's life is just snatched away by the deadly, unchecked chaos of hasty, flawed governance. Section 5. Wrath and Deification. We have reached the epic's explosive conclusion. When Kannagi hears of her husband's murder, her transformation is terrifying and magnificent at the same time. Armed with the twin of her anklet, she marches straight into the royal court. She shatters the king's false justice by literally breaking her anklet open to reveal the gems inside, definitively proving Kovalan's innocence. The raw power of her feminine wrath and her profound grief is so immense that it physically incinerates the unjust city of Madurai in flames. Let's break down exactly how this wraps up. First, Kannagi proves the truth in court. Second, the unjust king realizes his catastrophic failure of duty and literally dies of shock right there on his throne. Third, the city of Madurai is consumed by fire. And finally, with her anger subsiding, Kannagi walks to the Chera kingdom, up to the Nediwa Kundram hill. There, she transcends her mortal life, ascending to heaven and completely transforming from a wronged human wife into the worshipped goddess Mangala Devi. Which leaves us with a final, lingering thought. When unchecked power and hasty governance destroy an innocent life, can divine wrath ever truly restore the balance of justice? The Silappadikaram isn't just an ancient poem about dance, geometry, and anklets. It is a timeless warning about the failures of the state, the danger of unchecked authority, and the enduring power of truth. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and remember to keep questioning the balance of power around you.